specialist on King Henry's religion policy and overview.
Hi, great to meet with you.
So, how did King Henry VIII of England use his power to benefit England?
Well, Henry VIII used his power to benefit England for several different reasons, but today we'll be focusing on the religious aspect. Henry brought his nation into the Protestant Reformation.
Can you explain that deeper for us?
Of course. Basically, Henry had a desire to annul his first marriage, but the Pope refused to give his approval. This angered Henry. He wanted to get a new, younger wife so he could have a son that could be the monarch one day.
So, what did he end up doing because he didn't have the Pope's approval?
Well, without Pope's approval, Henry broke from the Roman Catholic Church and created his own Church of England. This put England in its own independent path.
Did Henry end up passing any act for this?
Actually, yes. Henry uses his power to pass the Act of Supremacy in England, which made him head of the Church of England. Henry could now be the leader of this new church he created. Now the Church of England was Protestant, no longer Catholic. England didn't have to follow the Pope. He changes the face of Christianity, and his influence can still be seen in England today.
Why, thank you so much for telling us all this. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll be back with another interview. Hello folks, today we are taking a step back in English history and we're speaking with a rather controversial figure in history. With him, I will be covering all the decisions and impacts he had from a cultural standpoint. So please everyone, let's welcome King Henry VIII.
Thank you so much for having me. I would love to shed some light on some of the influence I had on my country.
You were a very powerful ruler in your time, and you still today remain as a prominent figure in history. How does that make you feel?
I'm happy that my legacy has lasted so long and that I made an impact during my time.
Now to the real talk. During your rule, what cultural advancements were you able to make during your time, and how did they impact your country?
For one thing, I took the Hampton Court Palace and created it into a hotel, a theater, and a vast leisure complex. I even wanted to tear down the whole palace and instead created this spectacular fountain court.
That sounds like quite the spectacle, but I must ask, how was it a cultural influence?
I made the court palace into a place where English culture could grow and thrive. Between lavish banquets and extravagant arts, this was the pride of English culture, all of which occurred during our rule over England. Without my influence, this palace of English would not be the luxurious cultural standpoint it is today.
It seems like your rule truly appreciated culture very much and wanted to spread it through England. Thank you so much for taking your time out of your day to visit us, King Henry.
We can both agree that King Henry was the best ruler, but he was the best because he had a strong military compass.
Yes, King Henry was the best ruler. However, it wasn't his military power that made him rise above the others, it was his strong political technique.
King Henry had a strong military and was able to conquer many people, including France.
Right, however, he was able to prove his strength and power while putting his people before himself, which in my opinion is what constitutes as a good ruler.
Among the kings, Henry wanted to be remembered as a warrior king. Henry was very enthusiastic about fighting with France. Henry showed his absolute power when his council told him not to fight France, but he fought them anyways. He was able to fight 3 wars with France, and at the time joined Ferdinand II, who was the Holy Roman Emperor and also Henry's father. Around 1536, Henry was able to unite Wales with England and declared himself King of Ireland in 1541. When he declared himself the new head of the church, people were unhappy and they rebelled. This was called the Pilgrimage of Grace and happened in 1536. Because of how powerful Henry was, he was able to put this rebellion down relatively quickly and without mercy. Henry appointed a man, the Earl of Surrey, who was able to defeat the Scottish at flood. Wolsey, who was the Archbishop of York and good friend of the king, often handled many affairs but left the power to Henry. Some military achievements were that he strengthened the military and was able to invade many. Not only did Henry have great military achievements, but he was able to unite people together. Henry's military strengthened England drastically and gave them a new kind of military control.
You've made some good points, but if you listen to his political techniques, I think you will realize that this is the reason for him being such a strong ruler. For example, many of us know of his 6 wives and treatment towards them, but this was only for the better of his people. He married these women in search of a political alliance. In the beginning of his leadership, he was unable to divorce his first wife because it went against the church. So he then created the Church of England. He went to such great lengths to divorce his wife because they were unable to bear a male child. This would prevent the monarchy from an heir to the throne. So although many believed he divorced and killed his wives for selfish reasons, he was doing this for the better of the monarchy. King Henry had 2 types of ruling styles, including conciliar and ministerial. The conciliar ruling style means that the Catholic Church held the supreme authority in the church and resided with the council, apart from or even against the Pope. The King Henry's most significant political action would be the passage through the House of Commons of the supplication against the ordinaries, or the submission of clergy in 1532. And second, the March 1533 restraint of all legal appeals to Rome. The common supplication received enthusiastically by Henry overthrew the constitutional independence of the church and described the king as the supreme legislator in the realm. The Act of Appeals, which is largely the work of Cromwell, stated the following in its preamble: "This realm of England is an empire, and so hath been accepted in the world, governed by one supreme head and king, having the dignity and royal estate of the imperial crown of the same." Which, in other words, means England, along with their king or ruler, was absolutely and completely independent and owed no allegiance to any other figure or body, religious or political, on earth. He was in a way declaring England's independence and his absolute leadership.
Well, agree and disagree.
Well, now thinking of it, he was strong in both his military and political power. So thank you for taking the time to know.
Thank you. We have a historian here to teach us about the life of Thomas Wolsey as well as King Henry, who appointed him.
Well, Thomas Wolsey was a smart and well-educated man. This is why he was appointed as Lord Chancellor by King Henry VIII. Wolsey's power during the 1520s was undisputed. He delegated more and more state business to him, including near complete control of England's foreign policy. Wolsey was able to create an increase in demand for wool, which caused the industry to boom. With the help of King Henry, entrepreneurs flourished and mining increased. Wolsey and the king decided to heavily tax the people, which made Wolsey quite unlikable, unfortunately.
During the king's reign, what were the biggest changes he made?
Well, the king closed down monasteries, taking their land and money in order to change the religion for his people. Overall, during Henry VIII's reign, he was able to increase power in the middle class and decrease pay to the landowners. During King Henry's reign, wool and cloth export doubles as well.
Thank you for being with us here today.
You're welcome.